Hello, and welcome to Encounter Roleplay. We're the coolest cats here on Twitch. For those of you watching live, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to join us every Saturday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the live show. We're on episode 8 of Unrestful Hearts in the Garden of Glory. Let's go around to the cast and crew and figure out who we are and who we're playing. My name is Grant Ellis. I'm an independent content creator for tabletop role-playing games, and I am the designer of this madness, instigator of drama, and recurring dungeon master, game master, etc. here on Encounter Roleplay. We are also joined tonight by the returning sad bird of a night, Little Cup Joe. Hi, Jess. How are you?
Hello. I'm great. I'm mostly healthy again, thankfully. And the rumors of my death were greatly exaggerated, as is the case with Trist. Yeah. We'll see what happens. I have no idea what the heck my sad burp night is going to do tonight. They have so much money. The possibilities are limitless.
It's like, I think we'll do a spa episode.
I think we'll have a vacation.
I mean,
little me time.
Yes. They disappeared to go build a hot spring.
To compete with the other hot spring.
Yes.
that's what I would do first if I came back from the dead.
Indeed.
Also joining us tonight, Em. How you doing, Em?
I am doing fine. Also not dead from whatever the heck that internet flu was. And I'll be playing Chef Orphelia DeLion tonight, who is most definitely not walking straight into a trap. She's fine.
And you totally weren't until you put the idea in my head. I was like, oh my.
I mean, technically I didn't say it, so I'm choosing to blame you, Grant.
That's safe. It's fair. Also joining us tonight, Master of Drama, Pro Restarter. Hi, Pro. How are you?
Hey. I'm good. Yeah, I'm super happy to be back and looking forward to playing Sir Daniel, Lord of Hearts, and the We're of the True Crown, all that good jam. So glad to be back and playing this and be super edgy and sad and all that good stuff.
So, Unrestful Hearts in the Garden of Glory is a narrative-heavy storytelling adventure game, kind of based out of and inspired by games such as The King is Dead and Cypher System at its core, while leaning heavy into narrative control. But before we get into exactly what we're playing tonight, let's remind everyone who the show is sponsored by. Fantasy Grounds is our virtual tabletop of choice. All of the beautiful maps and roles you see tonight are using Fantasy Grounds, which you can try for free at fantasygrounds.com. You can also get all your miniatures from Wayland Games. I'm going to take my gum out because it's bothering me. Go to waylandgames.co.uk and get yourself a huge range of D&D, Warhammer, and 40k minis for 20% off. This week, check out our sponsor, Tabletop Loot, who sell incredible dice. When we hit 20 retweets, we give away a set of dice to you in chat. Let me fire away that tweet. On with your bad self. Finally, I'll remind you how you can interact with today's games. You can donate to affect the games, giving our players critical hits, forcing plays from our tarot deck, which will cause the equivalent of a wild magic surge. Don't forget, you can also donate to provide pets, mounts, etc., such as Glittermane the horse, to our crew. Also, if there's a moment you love during our show, please clip it on Twitch, and we'll be using these in our highlight reels and on Twitter. Without any further ado, I'll take over to begin the show. So, when last we left our intrepid heroes, we actually played a Wild West one-shot in lieu of the game. But there's a few things we knew. Chev Antimony, who is absent tonight, strategized a miraculous defense of the region of Norfell from the invading Lunar Republic. However, the war is not completely over. Members of the Lunar Republic are still trying to press the attack. Sarah Cataline du Wolf, escorted by Christina du Lion and Jolly du Estel, we're trekking to the golden and eternal east to invoke an ancient alliance and see if they could receive reinforcements to help defend the land royal during this time of civil strife. Chef Orphelia and Chef Beatriz were pursuing after Alicinda, known as the Raven's Blade, who is to be tried and executed for the crime of treason. And Sir Daniel du Eagle was vying for the throne. They have received the true crown and have been endorsed by Bishop Ambrose of the church, as well as Sir Donald, the brave, the bold, the outspoken, the indomitable. We'll just give Donald as many titles because he's a good boy. Each session begins with the playing of a tarot card, which sets the mood for the game with a dramatic event. The Magician is tonight's card, so let's divine the meaning and how it will impact the game. So it's right side up. And it represents free thinking, brilliant ideas, initiative, and resourcefulness. I have selected a random house, and it looks like it's going to be House Lion. House Lion is going to take initiative on a situation. And I feel that House Lion in this situation are forming an alliance of knights under Sir Daniel, and they are known as the Thorn Guard. They are going to help Sir Daniel in whatever course of action the Laird of Light decrees. However, the Lions know this is very beneficial because they'd very much like to keep their position as knights of the royal house and knights of whoever sits on the throne. So that's the house at large. That event might impact each one of our individual characters as it relates to their individual scenes. Now, as is common with the game, we're going to set a scene, and I'm going to set the first scene. And I most definitely want to see a scene with Chef Orphelia and Chef Beatriz as they have tracked down Alicinda, the Raven's Blade. And I think we're going to have to bring in some of our other characters, other players, to portray some of the NPCs. Chef Orphelia has been lured into a trap. There is essentially an unkindness of ravens. There is a group, and Alicinda knew that she was being followed. There is a raven known as Vitor the Tall, of all things. I'm going to add some of this to this background. Vitor the Tall has several narrative points. No crown, 1 passion, 3 glory. Exactly like that. Sorry, in chat. There is also a second raven. Actually, there's 4. Call them the lesser ravens. We'll see whether or not they get names later. These are knights without a house. Alicinda is there as well. Alicinda has narrative scores as well. Alicinda has 1 crown, 3 passion, 2 glory. What these narrative scores mean for our audience is they have certain political sway. The knights are driven or they are pulled towards them and gravitate towards them by an almost unseen magnetic force, whether it be as friends, rivals, allies, or enemies. And likewise, the glory score is how important and significant they are in the stage at large. So the question that I'd like to answer in this scene is, Does Chev Orphelia slay Alicinda once and for all? Because I think Alicinda has led everyone a merry dance. We know a few things about her. She is, in fact, Beatrice's twin sister. We know that she survived a near-death experience when Sir Daniel set her on fire and burned her to the ground. We know that she is treasonous and an assassin. We also know now she is deceptive. As far as roles, yeah, go ahead.
Do we know why she initially broke off from House Eagle if she's Beatrice's twin sister?
She broke off during the... we might not know the original reason, but we do know she was part of a religious schism. And we also know that where Beatrice was required to train knights, her sister was not. Her sister was sent to war. And war changes people from time to time. And she may have knowledge specific to another raven who may or may not show up in the scene. You learn certain things about your house and you don't always want to stay in the house.
Cool. Okay,
Or not.
One more question.
Yeah.
Has Beatrice expressed any sort of indication as to, like, her feelings on this matter? In hindsight, I probably should have asked this last session, but...
Beatrice is very stoic. These things we know. Beatrice explains that honor must come before all. We should not judge houses as a whole, but we should judge people as individuals. The second, her sister is a liar, a murderer, and a thief. She has all three of these things, and Beatrice most certainly is not. For this scene, I think it would be very interesting if I play Beatrice, Joe plays Alicinda, and Pro plays Vitor the Tall. I think we have a pair of excellent villains amongst this group of players. And I'll sort of
would ever make you say that?
Well, you may have just been a demon a few hours earlier. And
bump at you, Pro. We got this.
The stakes of this scene are what I will refer to as and we can see if they're too high and set them back. So here are a couple stakes that I'm going to pitch. And since this involves Orphelia as the main character, you actually get to decide. This is, if someone sets a scene for someone else's character, we pitch about three. So the three are whether Beatrice lives or dies, whether Orphelia stays loyal to the crown or breaks off to sort of explore and seek and find the truth amongst ravens.
Clarifying
question. Yes.
When you say the crown, do you mean the crown as it is currently understood, or the crown as it is understood under the Knights of the Quill?
I would put this way. It will be Orphelia's choice at the end of the scene to interpret it however she sees.
Okay.
Do we... Pardon my ignorance, because my presence has been spotty for a multitude of reasons.
Yes.
What are the established facts of the realm around the crown and who has it? Or which house has the right to it? Because I know we started out with the assumption that the House Lion was the royal house.
House Lion was the royal house? Yes. Okay.
We have House Estelle. Yeah, what's the line of succession as it exists currently? How did this happen?
What we established in the last episode is there's about 4 potential parties that actually can make a legal claim to the crown. Here's how we understand it by law.
George R. R. Martin, eat your heart out.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So, House Lion are the royal house. However, they have deferred the crown to be maintained by House Estelle.
Okay.
Okay.
And the lineal descendant from House Estelle would be Jollian,
Mhm.
who is currently traveling to the Golden East. We know that Jolly is known to some as the Prince of Daggers. Though he portrays himself as a naive child, Jolly has killed at least 37 people in his life. He is a menace.
Not a
And
nice
he has
boy.
confided such. Chev Antimony knows this. Not many others. Sarah Kathleen might find out.
God.
Cool.
I tried to make it nice when I made him. I'm so sorry.
It's all right. He is very nice. He's nice, but he has had to be tough to stay alive. There are rumors that a certain house was kicked off the throne by an evil conspiracy. I shouldn't call it an evil conspiracy. There was, under a cloak of deceit, House Dragon, House Eagle, House Lion, and House Estelle kicked another house off the throne. And they made sure that they were done, and they covered up the facts, and they burned every last member of that house. Metaphorically, they made sure that they executed, and if there were any survivors, they sent them up to Norfell to be executed. And surely no one will survive an execution by House Eagle in Norfell, except maybe a raven. That we know. So there's this sort of story that there might be the ghost of a house that's trying to rise from the ashes, so to speak. There is a member of House Estelle that wants to sit on the throne. However, many people view Ser Danielle as the legal steward. There's enough genealogy there, and there's enough legal jurisprudence and precedence, not to get too political, that could position Laird Danielle on the throne. They also have the backup of the church, so that's sort of the weird.
That is a winding web we have crafted.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
That was
I created
helpful
the
to
Knights
have.
of the Quill. Okay, so the Knights of the Knights of the Quill then are loyal to one of these people. I'm not sure who that would be in this instance, though.
The short answer is this: certainly not House Estelle. They would be willing to serve under Laird Danielle, given no other option. They would prefer the restoration of a forgotten house, one that was turned to ash.
That makes sense. Okay.
So, and that's some of the tying into sort of our scene weaving. That's some of the external and intrinsic conflict, particularly with Ophelia and Beatrice as well, where it's, look, we've got some issues to solve, and we are going to be in a den of vipers for a short season. We have tracked Alicinda. So as far as stakes, what stake do you want to put up for grabs?
So far we had, does Chev Beatrice live or die, and does Ophelia stay or go effectively?
So Chev Beatrice's life and Chev Ophelia's loyalty, essentially.
Correct.
Can I do both?
Yes.
Sure.
We can compound the stakes. So I'm going to set the
It's
scene.
fine.
Ophelia and
I won't regret
Beatrice.
this.
We are no longer tracking these obscure feathers of a Raven Knight. We are following the boots. We are following the actual tracks, and we are led to a narrow gully. In fact, we are led down. We are now in a location that is, the sun itself is blocked out. We can hear the sound of rushing water. There must be a waterfall nearby. We hear the sound of birds. They're singing. They must be nightingales. Though the nightingale season is over, they seem to migrate here to keep warm. It is then that we are surrounded by darker shadows than that of simply the dim blue overcast of the rocky walls that surround us. Above us, almost perched on rocks, we see a collection of knights. There is Alicinda, who I'd like Joe to play. This is all you need to know about her. She nearly killed Pro's character, and she essentially, for all intents and purposes, was responsible for the death of Danielle's sister. Though the blow may have been struck by Ophelia, it was Alicinda who led the raid. There is a tall, muscular, imposing knight wearing what looks almost like ceremonial ebon plate. They carry an archaic weapon, one that we have not seen used in the Land Royal. And there are 4 other knights. There's nothing remarkable about them that distinguishes them. Beatrice has come in. Her sword is not yet drawn, but we have essentially come to the point where we have tracked down the treasonous Alicinda.
I know we've seen, I believe Alicinda used at least like a crossbow to throw a bolt in Sir Daniel's body at one point. What other weaponry do we know that she's capable of using?
She has 2 exotic swords. They are unlike any that is wielded in the Land Royal. They're lighter. They cut through most metals more proficiently than anything that we have wielded. However, we are still skilled, and we have defeated her before.
Okay.
I think
Pro, you can
something.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Last session with the Knights of the Quill having like a special kind of sword that Ophelia doesn't have, but Chef Beatrice might. I don't know if it'd be relevant here or not.
It would. It's Beatrice's blade, and so Pro, you can take the role of Vitor, and I'm going to give both of you players just a couple of what I'll call characteristics. So Alicinda is cruel. She is elegant, and she is also menacing. When I say she's cruel, you know, it's not just that she hurts; she attempts to intimidate. Vitor is well reasoned. You can actually talk to Vitor. They are overly articulate, despite being a giant. Don't fall into any stereotypes. But also, one hit, one kill. Don't let Vitor hit you.
Cool.
That's fine.
And the rest of the ravens we know are mocking and willing to run if needed. They won't stick around. They prefer not to be arrested, because that hit enter like 90 times. we've set
Chat
the
log's
scene.
going wild.
I know. It's like,
What in the world?
as you wish. It's like,
What?
all right.
Okay.
So Beatrice draws her blade. She announces, pointing it right at Alicinda. The name of the crown, you are under arrest. You will come with us immediately.
That's really cute, sister. I don't think so. She draws both of her swords. Ravens, to me! And I think she will dive in for the attack.
How does Vitor respond?
I think Vitor is just coming from behind, so from like behind them, and is just saying, "Well, it's good you come in the name of the crown, but which one?"
Oof. How dare you?
And
look, this is my trash fire, Vitor.
And I think we see Vitor's weapon is it's these like arm kind of gauntlets. They have like the entire thing is like razored and like fanged, and they kind of attached to the bottom, and he uses them in like punches and jabs.
Oh, cool.
He's
Okay.
a giant pugilist. That's fine.
Oh no.
Excellent. My single sword will do so well.
All right.
We have
so
evil small and evil tall here.
so here's how we're going to resolve this. We are going to melee. For both Beatrice and Ophelia are going to make checks, and the difficulty is 8. It's essentially, hey, thank you, Snow Dogs, for the bits. Essentially, here's the challenge. So it's 8, and the only person that can expend tags in this scene is Ophelia.
Okay.
And you can spend them either for yourself or Beatrice. You can also use your attractive qualities and your pools, etc., for either yourself or Beatrice. Or attractive qualities for yourself. Beatrice actually has what we call a value now. She essentially she's a 4-point NPC companion, and that means whatever I roll on a 10-sided die, I get to add 4. Beatrice made her check, so she meets Alicinda straight on, and just as she disarmed Ophelia when they were sparring, disarms Alicinda, at least one of the swords.
Sure.
However, Beatrice is kind of being pushed back because of the ferocity that Alicinda is attacking with. And Ophelia, you're free to make a check. Are you going to stand off against Vitor or one of the other ravens?
I think
If you stand, go ahead.
What is Vitor doing in terms of entering this combat? Are they just acting menacing at the side, or do they look like they're trying to actually get on in here?
I'll let Pro state Pro's intentions, but if you don't engage Vitor, Vitor's going to come and engage Beatrice as well as Alicinda. Pro, you go ahead.
Vitor is coming in, walking in slowly, and kind of flexing, and they appear to be reciting poetry as they kind of move forward, kind of saying, "As we meet upon the waxing light in this field of nightingale song, let us rejoice and have battles fight. Whoever is the strongest will win this night."
Well, that's very pretty, but we're not here for you. And Ophelia is going to block their way between them and Chef Beatrice. And I think she actually tries to dart in and take them out from the legs as a kind of, it's a surprise move.
No, not the legs.
I skip like that.
Yes, exactly. Just fucking timber this giant. Okay. Where are my dice? Okay, so I am resourceful and I am bold, and diving right on in seems like I can use both of those things potentially for useful, attractive qualities. What else? I don't want to use my wing clipper yet. So I think, and then I'm going to expend 2 points of dashing since this is supposed to be kind of a surprise. So that's a +4. And that is a 7 on the die, which brings that to an 11.
That's excellent.
So, how tough is Vitor? Because I'm assuming the success is not a full-on like, you did it.
Here's how we'll break it up. It will take 3 successes against Alicinda to defeat her, and 3 successes against Vitor to defeat him, and nothing is certain.
Okay, excellent.
If either you or I fail up to 3 times, we are defeated. So we need 6 successes, but we lose if we get 3 failures.
Okay. In that case, yeah, I think Orphelia comes in and looks as if she's going to make a really clumsy strike, kind of playing up this whole, because Orphelia is much younger looking than Beatrice. And then at the very last second, she dashes aside and actually moving her blade almost faster than the eye can see. She she actually switches it around and just with all of her strength just bashes it into like the Achilles heel of Vitor the Tall. When it shouldn't work because armor. However, somehow the reverberations throughout this actually end up kind of tossing them off balance. And what do you think Vitor's response to pretty much starting to fall would be? Are they top heavy enough that this would be in like?
I think they definitely tumble forward, and as they kind of tumble forward, the actual kind of like gauntlet spikes dig into the ground, and I think they're laughing, as they're just like, this lion has claws, enjoying the fray.
How does Alice? Yeah, how does Alicinda mock, harass, and attempt to take advantage over Beatrice?
I think we saw her get disarmed. She lost just the one sword and kind of shakes it out very quickly and presses further what little advantage she can against Beatrice with the blade she still has. Just long enough to kind of like use that leverage to flip herself backward and collect her sword again. And she's sort of playing more defensively now and just sort of dashing in and tapping and being really annoying with the way she strikes with these blades and jumping out of reach rather than one single full attack. She's just stinging like a mosquito.
Ugh.
And just laughing. Too slow, sister.
Beatrice is too slow as you are beginning to not just outmaneuver her, you are beginning to score more frequently. And though she has not been disarmed, Beatrice is beginning to become wounded as Beatrice fails her check to defend against Alicinda. However,
I think every time we see her draw blood, there's just this bright glimmer in Alicinda's eyes. Like, that gets her going, and she has more energy when she sees it.
Yeah, and Beatrice kind of stumbles out and, her eyes meets Vitor's, then turns back to Alycinda, and she, speaks some poetry of her own, and she claims, "Danger no refuge holds, and war no peace, for him who hears love sing and never cease," and goes in to attack Alycinda. However, misses completely and leaves herself open for a strike. Ophelia sees this. Now, here's Ophelia's choice. Keep dealing with Vitor, or go and protect Beatriz from receiving a fatal blow.
Without question, Ophelia leaps off of Sir Vitor, or not Sir Vitor, Vitor the Tall, and throws herself between Beatriz and Alycinda. Not to take the strike, but hopefully to block it. Important point of clarification.
Okay, so yes, you're going to have to essentially defend this attack. And so it's still a difficulty 8. Alycinda is very close to defeating Beatriz. However, you can spend any points that you wish to defend Beatriz.
Okay. I am going to spend... So I think... Yeah. I'm going to spend my wing clipper tag. And then I think 2 more points of dashing.
So the wing clipper drops it from a difficulty 8 to 4. 2 points of dashing.
Okay.
You need a 2 or higher. Although you also have resourceful and bold, right? So it's automatic.
I do have resourceful and bold. So, does that just
no roll needed? Narrate it. Now, it just happens by spending a legendary quality. So I want you to imagine when this story is told, like 2,000 years in the future, like people talk about how the wing clipper came into effect and you leapt in there. It came at a cost, but it was not a random chance.
Okay. So... Wing clipper. So tell me more about what Alycinda looks like. Like, what's her whole like armor deal situation and all of that going on?
Would Jess like to improvise, or do you want me to improvise?
Has it been established in the fiction yet?
It's changed a couple different times since it's been 2 or 3 different years that she's shown up.
Okay. Given she is elegant, I think she seems like she's probably the light on her feet, roguish type. So I think she's dressed more in close-fitting leathers that let her move around well, but still protect her against most things she can't dodge. And allows her to move more freely. So dark with a bit of feathers in the accents about the mantle.
Okay. Okay. So you said she was doing all sorts of like light strikes and darting in and out.
Yeah.
Right.
Sort of darting circles around Beatriz and coming in for a few quick slashes with both swords and then jumping out of reach anytime Beatriz tried to respond in kind. I think coming in for the killing blow, she sort of basically does like a flip forward and was meaning to come in to just lop her head off with both swords.
Oh God. Okay.
You said cruel, man.
Okay. So I think what happens then is Ophelia sees this, has that moment of no, and actually ends up. So she sees Alycinda flying in, doing this leap, and she actually leaps off of Vitor the Tall, as in like actually like leaps off them at all of their height. Sails through the air miraculously far, does a flip, and then not only meets Alicinda's blades as they come down, but she, as they strike her blade, I think somehow there's just this flash of light, and then they both fly out of Sir Alicinda's hands, actually end up puncturing or like ripping through her mantle, and somehow pin her to the wall of the cliff, I think. Just full on like splayed up, if that works for everybody. So she flew forward, and now she's deflected and flying back.
So before Vitor rejoins the fray, yeah, I think that's awesome. And I think that's exactly how it went down, both in the original translation of the text as well as the movie adaptation in 1996. So
it would be a 90s movie.
At this point, the four other ravens are going to attempt to, one, assist Alicinda, two, overpower Ophelia and Beatrice. So they're going to go two at a time. So we have to make two quick checks. And the challenge for both of them is 4. Beatrice made hers first one and her second one. So it's just 2 quick checks because these are other ravens that are interfering.
Okay. And these are ones where I can use my attractive qualities still?
Yep.
Okay, so bold and resourceful still. Made the first one 3 plus. Made the second one with a 5.
All right, excellent. So we slashed down those 4 ravens. So now it's down to Vitor and it's down to Alicinda. However, Vitor is at an advantage in this situation. Go ahead and narrate what you're going to do, Vitor, and understand that it's going to be a difficulty 12 to overpower whatever they do. Overcome it.
Yeah, I think Vitor sees this and sees that the little lion is willing to put themselves in danger for their mentor. So I think Vitor is going to kind of jump in with Beatrice and kind of bait the situation and purposefully put Beatrice looking to be in a dire situation only to feint and kind of redirect the blow. So kind of as Alessandra's kind of dashing into her, Vitor will kind of get behind and like they're about to kind of like do like a killing blow, waiting for that moment for the lion to jump in, whereas they'll kind of switch and reverse it, twist the punch to go around.
Here's how it goes down in the fiction. Because I did make a check for Beatrice just to see if she could keep distance. She can't. So she is completely at your mercy at this point. So that's a second failure. One.
Has Alicinda gotten free yet?
She will soon.
Okay.
After this check, she's essentially free to her own devices.
And you want me to roll, right?
You don't have to roll. It's just whatever Ophelia does to intervene. It's going to be a difficulty 12. It's going to be very difficult to overcome.
So what does this look like from Ophelia's perspective right now if Beatrice failed and left herself open?
She's been disarmed, and Vitor, you narrate the rest.
She's been disarmed, and the sword has kind of been kicked away. There was like some kind of hillish terrain, which she kind of had her back up against. And Vitor is just kind of like mockingly missing, as she's like darting away. But it's like I'm funneling the mouse in a way that like is making you even more worried. And I think Vitor is a saying, "Isn't it funny how you bring all your kin here to die? It's time you stop spreading your lies and just end what you've been lying about all those years." Has she not realized the truth of it all?
Okay. So I think the reason that Ophelia wasn't there to stop this situation from even starting is that she was actually about to deliver the killing blow to Alessandra. But I think she has this moment where she has to make that snap decision between saving her mentor and completing their mission. And give me a second. I'm trying to decide whether to do something really stupid or not.
Isn't the answer always yes?
I mean, the answer is always yes, but okay. So, question about the tag "wounded in the company of friends." Can I just say that something real bad happens to me as part of this, but also make the check? Or
Okay, so if you spin that tag, you reduce the difficulty by 6. You reduce it by half because that actually completely applies. Beatrice watched you fall to the Dragon Queen, and you are watching Beatrice fall to Vitor the Tall, a seemingly invincible champion. And Alessandra should be a friend, but she's not.
Okay.
You probably met her when you were very young. When you first became a squire, Alessandra was probably there. May have even administered parts of the oath.
Oh, great. Okay. In that case, Ophelia, who was getting ready to deliver justice, her concentration breaks as she hears Beatrice cry out, and she locks eyes with Alessandra for just half a second. Okay. Does Alessandra say anything, or does she just smirk?
She just smirks.
Okay. Yeah, and then Ophelia just turns away, dashes forward, and does that same leap that she did to save Beatrice before, only now she isn't quick enough. She doesn't quite make it. And so I think... So wounded in the company of friends. Can I say as part of that, rather than Ophelia getting wounded, her sword just snaps in half? And so she's not a crazy disadvantage?
It won't have any fictional impact until after you spend it. However, I will say this. This is the final check of the entire confrontation.
Oh.
And we have 5 successes and 2 failures. We need 6 successes to be victorious. 3 failures mean the bad guys win.
Great. Okay. In that case, I'm going to make the check, assume that Ophelia gets wounded in some way. We'll see how that resolves, and then decide after the roll if that works.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to use bold. I'm not going to use resourceful.
Okay.
This is not resourceful. This is must per check. Okay. That is an 8 on the die. But that was definitely a 12 difficulty.
It got cut in half by spending your
it was
attack.
6. Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct.
Just describe how you describe how this looks as you jump in there before Vitor delivers the killing blow. And then Vitor needs to give a poetic death monologue.
Okay, so I think for the sake of fiction, let's say that Beatrice has been disarmed, but her sword is close to her. So she's crawling, trying to grab at her sword in a desperate attempt to have something she can block with. And Vitor, you said they use gauntlets, correct? So like a 1-2 punch?
Yes, they do. It's like a 1-2, kind of like free boxer, right?
Perfect. Okay, so Ophelia dives in, blocks the first one with her sword as it crashes in, but the impact is so strong that it actually snaps the blade in half. And as they sort of grin and come in for that second punch, this one to deliver the killing blow, Ophelia snatches shove Beatrice's sword from the ground, spins around, and somehow fast enough meets the second strike. And they're kind of in this standstill where they're pushing back and forth, and it's not clear who is going to be the winner here. And Ophelia is actually getting pushed closer and closer to the ground. And as her knees start to finally just hit the ground, and she looks like she's about to be she's about to lose this conflict, she reaches behind her, grabs the tip of the sword that just broke, and with one final push, pushes the gauntlet away and leaps up and slams it through their visor into their eye. And you can dramatically die in whatever manner you choose.
I think Victor is just like startled back. We just kind of see like the mash of the face, and they kind of get down to one knee, and I think they just say, all around the ravens cry, death is all we see. You're fighting here for one true crown, but the wrong side you will be. And they fall down.
At that moment, Alicinda has freed herself. Ophelia sees not far Beatrice's blade. Alicinda really doesn't have anywhere to run, and as part of the stakes of the scene, her life is on the line. It's up to Ophelia to show mercy or not, but you two can sort of play out the end. And remember, anything we speak into the fiction essentially becomes canon. So if we start adding to the narrative, true it is, or at least from a certain point of view.
Cool.
Okay. So when Alicinda breaks free, does she run, or does she start to run?
I don't think so. I think she runs, but she runs toward Vitor with a very upset cry and eases them to the ground as they die. And then is just looking up at Grant. You know I gotta do what I do.
I just assumed,
Here
honestly.
for the ships.
The ship sails.
Yep. And she whispers some words very quietly to them and lets them sets them down to rest, and looks to Ophelia and Beatrice with
She
tears
looks
kind of
down the length of a blade. Sorry.
Do it. It's what you came for, isn't it? Do you want to die without knowing the truth?
I should end all this right now. There's been enough pain and suffering because of you.
Pain and suffering, by whose account?
What do you mean?
Did you not hear them? You're on the wrong side, you little idiot.
What do you mean? I'm putting you to justice. There's only one side.
Oh, and which side is that?
What? Well, the crown, of course.
The crown. The crown is a symbol, a toy people fight over. Who do you really think owns that crown?
Ophelia is looking at Beatrice here. Like, the crown is the true crown. Oh, actually, I don't think Ophelia told, or Chef Beatrice told Ophelia about the Knights of the Quill yet, so never mind.
She might. Beatrice is not completely out. She's coming to her senses, making her way to her feet, shaking her head.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Ophelia kind of sets back and keeping her sword out. All right, stand up. You look ridiculous. What are you talking about? And tell it to me straight.
She stands. No.
Do you want to live or not?
You're curious enough that you're going to spare me long enough for me to tell you. I'd like to live a little longer.
Fine. Welcome to royal custody. And Elisenda is no longer armed, yes?
She's
Not
not
that you
armed, nor is Beatrice. The only person armed in this scene is Chef Ophelia.
Okay, in that case, welcome to royal custody. And I knock her on the side of the head with the pommel of my blade.
She's out.
All right.
You notice before she hits the ground, Beatrice does rush in and catch her as she's unconscious and like sets her head on her shoulder and is like slowly stroking her hair. And you can see that she's like crying. Like that relationship has always been a bitter one. They are twins. They've been linked since birth, and both of their lives have been very hard. And that's where we'll end that scene. Wow, we need to assign a tag to Chef Ophelia and advance the clock. So the clock is actually going to be the revolution clock that advances. Yes. So instead of being a difficulty 8 as the starting in all of our future scenes, it's now a difficulty 9. Essentially, it's just a little more difficult as the game advances. However, we've also advanced our story. And we get to assign a tag to Chef Ophelia. And I think the tag will be Justice and Mercy. As she dealt justice to Vitor the Tall, she also showed some degree of mercy to Elisenda, the Raven's Blade. And with that, we'll move to the next scene. So, who would like to set the next one? If we don't come to a decision, we'll just go counterclockwise, and Pro will be next.
I want to see Trist's scene, see what they have going on.
Okay. I will put this to the table. Is there something collectively we want to explore?
So there's a couple
I've been
different
here
ways to...
not often enough to have a scene of my own in mind, so let's advance the whole narrative.
So What's a question we have that Sir Triest would lead to the answer to? What do we want to learn about Triest in relation to the world?
Do you want?
As yet, we know basically nothing about them. We could.
We know they're somewhat loyal to the crown, but it came out of money.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to see, since we don't know what Triest looks like, I want to kind of maybe see that, have they been there all along? Just in the background, and no one's noticed. That's just like something I'm throwing out there.
Sure.
It'd be like Grant and be like, I want to know Triest's true identity.
Who are they? All right.
I mean, that could be a question we can answer. If we're allowed to shift forward and backward in time. But for the campaign, in terms of like a dramatic reveal, it's a question of whether you want to have that be a pure dramatic reveal later, or build up to it by establishing earlier things now that make it easier for us to know how our characters would interact with Sir Triest's true identity.
Well,
we might jump back to the night of the ball. What happened after with Sir Triest before they showed up to get a bunch of money?
And I was also thinking as well that since we don't know their face, they can just be anyone. They don't have to be like they don't have to know who they truly are, but they can just be like anyone in that kind of background scene if we wanted to do that.
We could.
To kind of like put some footholds with like your background, because we don't know.
We've seen them briefly at the ball. We've seen them regularly trailed by Crestina du Lion. And then after that, they did one good thing, got paid bank, and walked away, apparently. So I think exploring backstory might not be bad. It eliminates a dramatic reveal, but I'm sort of okay with that because it explores relationships that we haven't seen.
Okay. So who do we want this to be a scene? Do we want it to be a scene with Triest and Crestina? Do we want it to be a scene with Triest and someone else from the fiction? And if it is, we can either invent a new character or pull someone off the shelf. It may have even been someone they encountered during the peace negotiations in the Goldenwood. There may have been a side scene no one knew about. Could be Laszlo, the Grand Josiah. Could be Anna, the Wolf Princess. Sir Helena might even know exactly who she is.
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking.
Another way we could do this is a series of montages where we go through various short scenes where we have one key dramatic moment where we reveal what the Raven would have done in the background and reveal a little more about their character. And we just pick something in the world and insert them there.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I have no footholds to grab in this narrative right now.
Here's what we'll do.
I'm open.
We're going to do rapid foothold generation. So the first one's going to be, without revealing too much, we're going to kind of go backwards in time, one scene at a time, from the day of your execution backwards. Does that work, or is that too far back?
I think that's a good starting point. because that is a question I, the player, have. How did they avoid execution? How did they survive?
All right, so here, I'll set that one. So we'll each get to set a scene and watch Triest respond to it. So you are at the Rock of the Skull. You are there not as a raven, but as a former house, a house that was supposedly burned to ash. And you are there with your long, beautiful hair in its natural color. You are currently bound, and you see a flaw in the executioner's ritual. They have left themselves open that they can be overtaken. Describe how you overcame them. There were 3 of them. You killed all 3 is what we know. Describe how that went down.
Okay. All right. Well, the first mistake they made was they did not cut her hair. And it's long enough that she can use it as a rope to strangle a man with. It's going to hurt her. It's going to be a hell of a headache, but she's going to do it. And I think as the first one approaches, she has been diligently over time sawing at her bonds against the block, and then reaches up and seizes the end of her hair and just chokes him out. And when the others come, she seizes the headsman's axe that he was going to use on her and uses it to chop the other 2 down.
Oof. Yeah, and you left them there. They died knowing that they were in the wrong, and that they had essentially betrayed the crown to carry out the tasks that they were raised to do. Now, Isrever made a generous donation, so we're going to have 3 tarot cards also impact this. So I played the 2 of Pentacles, which refers to balance, adapting, sorting priorities. Pentacles ties to a specific house. In fact, it ties to House Dragon, and we know Dragon is one of the houses that betrayed Ser Triest in the past. So I think the next scene should involve how Ser Triest took revenge on the dragon that set them up, or plans to. So maybe this is a scene of you with Christina or someone else, but I'd like to tie in dragons. Pro, okay. Why don't you sort of set the vignette that we see the Raven play in?
I suppose dragons being dragons, it has to be a full moon night, and just after I suppose a banquet or gala thrown for this dragon, and we see the Raven scaling up to the balcony or sneaking through the manor, edging closer to a door.
Okay. So I think here we see the person we see now looks considerably different from before. So time has passed, a bit more gaunt, and that long, radiant, scarlet, blood-colored hair has been cut about just above the chin. And it's a bit rough looking, and has been dusted with probably soot or something to change the color to like a ruddy brown. And they are sneaking through and listening at the other side of the door for a while. And they're dressed in plain servant's clothing for the moment, and they have a little bottle in their hand that they tuck up their sleeve before coming inside. Hello, gents. Need fresh drinks?
Who's playing these characters, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll play them. Pro, why don't you and I both jump in? There's two.
Oh, yes, quite right. Ready for the drinks. That's what we do as dragons. We drink.
Fine wine's always on the menu.
I prefer whatever swills on the table. Business.
Of course.
Cheaper the better.
She goes to the nearby wine cabinet, starts preparing the drinks, and while she's pouring them out, dabs something from a different bottle into each. Here you are, then. Drink up, good health, and have a lovely night, sirs.
Why don't we do that old ritual where we drink it out of each other's shoes? And he pulls off his 1-inch Cuban heels and offers his shoe to you, and I take your flip flop.
My flip flop.
High fantasy flip-flop.
We always
They're flippy floppies.
God. What effect does the drink have on me, Jess?
They are hella poisoned, and they are gonna die choking slowly.
I hate this.
And she will take whatever. She'll take the sword from one of them and just hold it down by their throat. Do you want me to finish that? It goes a little quicker.
Please.
She kills him and then the other. And throws the sword out the window and then leaves.
Oof. So the next scene is the inverted lover's card that has been played as a tarot card. So it's going to be Im that gets to set the scene of the lover that betrayed Sir Trist in their former life and how revenge was wrought.
Okay.
Have fun.
So, okay. So, the House Phoenix was essentially all taken and executed in a pretty rapid succession, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think let's see. I think we open on what is most definitely a runaway with me type escape attempt, I think. I think whoever this person was, they were trying to get Sir Trist out, or at least that's what Sir Trist thought was happening. Sir Trist maybe even came to them if they were made aware of what was starting to go down, and I need to leave the country. Come with me. Meet at the docks at midnight kind of situation, perhaps even. And so I think we open on a dockside at midnight. The moon is full. There's nothing but the sound of water lapping softly against various boats and ships. And everything is just eerily still, except for, and there doesn't appear to be anyone visible except for one figure holding a rope and standing next to one of the ships, waiting all by themselves at the end of the dock.
Who would you like to play the traitorous lover, and who would you like to play the individual with the rope? Jess gets to choose.
You look like you have a thought, Em.
Oh, in my mind, it was the lover waiting at the end of the dock. I kept it vague because I didn't know what Sir Trist's preferences were as far as people. However, if you want it to be two people, that also works. It's either should be fine.
Tell us how it happened. You were there.
What the hey? We'll all options are open as far as this person. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You already set the scene, so how about you, Em?
As
The lover, and we will assume perhaps there are some other folks waiting off to the sidelines to collect.
The lover's name is... No, that's too on the nose. It's Caswin.
Caswin.
Type it in.
I spelled that wrong.
It's a Cornish name.
Do they have a house affiliation? Or is this are we assuming they're all House Phoenix? Well, I guess that'd be kind of weird if they're betraying.
They're not Phoenix. Sir Triste in a former life was quite fond of. Do we want to roll for it, or do we want you to pick, Jess?
Yeah, roll for it.
All right. So I will roll lion. As when
Of course.
lion.
Okay, perfect. Ooh, for fun. Let's say this is. I think Ophelia has a big brother.
Yep, that's
Caswin
what I was
Lion.
thinking. That's fine.
Donald
that's
Mentor.
fine.
No.
I like that we think the
Um,
same. Funny that.
I mean, funny that. Okay. So yeah. So and who is playing the various? And we want to say maybe it's supposed to be established before. Okay. I mean, it might be supposed to be established beforehand. If this is like they sent an executioner type situation, or like an actual like individual like specifically trained to retrieve people, or whether this was just like hired thugs.
Yeah. Are these like bounty hunters or knights that are not wearing their house colors, or are these just some
Here's what we
thugs?
do know. They are poorly equipped. They have underestimated you. And as grand as they are in their own minds, if they were skilled bounty hunters, they did not perform that way this day. It's one of those things they might even say their names as if you would know them by reputation. You kind of don't care.
So is this post the execution or before?
This is post.
Oh,
We're going to set this.
Oh.
I know that's a little different timing wise than you thought. I think we're going to do both scenes. I think we're going to do the before and the after. Does that make sense?
so
Pre-execution.
this is before the execution
Em
leading to the
actually has it
arrest
right.
and ending.
It actually has it right. We're supposed to be going further back in time to learn more details about you. Let's do this the night you were betrayed, and also the aftermath of how you got your revenge.
okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so I
So
think
it's
we're
sort
starting
of a
out
2
with
in 1.
yeah. So
Starting
did
out
Sir
with one
Triste
scene.
So did Sir Triste escape and do the whole like come with me thing, or was this did this come from Caswin, do you think?
I think she probably escaped the initial like group betrayal that seized most of the house and was laying low for a bit, and then sought out Caswin to probably the intent was to say like, look, I need to leave the country. I don't think I can come back, but good luck and goodbye. Rather than run away with
sorry,
me. That might have been
VMix is
Caswin's
doing-
idea.
Sorry, VMix is doing a thing and I missed all of that.
Okay.
Say it again. Seems to be a
Sure.
little better now.
Davey mix. She would have come to Caswin to just basically say, "Hey, look, I need to leave. Good luck and goodbye," and would not have wanted them to come with.
Okay.
So that would have probably been their idea, I think.
Okay. Sorry. Unfortunately, I really can't hear what's happening right now because of VMix. I got bits and pieces of that. So if we want to maybe like establish more about our bounty hunter type people while I'm waiting for VMix to stop freaking out on me, maybe?
So they're closing in. They're like, all right, little birdie, we'll get you to safety. Come along with us.
That'd be right. Come on.
She's armed, so I think she's going to draw her sword and come at them,
Hey.
sort of assuming that they just followed her.
Why are you coming at us so rough like? We're not armed. We're not armed at all. Yeah. So she's
They're that bad,
clearly
huh?
not. Well, they're trying to deceive her. They figured they were going to lure her like for a day, try to wear her out through rugged travel, and then because I've heard rumors that she is skilled.
Do you know who I am? I'm Jack Rabbit the Jack.
Jack Rabbit the Jack.
Kill you. That's a stupid name.
And they call me Samson Monroe.
Wait, what did they call you?
Samson Monroe.
Yeah, she's just gonna attack him.
You just run him right through, and he's like,
Yeah, and push him into the
turns
water.
over and looks at Jack Rabbit the Jack, and was like, "This was the stupidest idea we had." As
And
he's
likewise,
sinking, he's
likewise to the other.
Caswin, you fool! Yeah, he shouts out, Caswin, you fool! You told us she was weak and soft. Sold you out.
Jasmine. What? Did you put them up to this?
Caswin, Caswin isn't there.
Oh, cool.
Ghosted.
She's just gonna
Yeah,
look
I think
around and-
all there is just the sound of footsteps kind of echoing farther and farther away. If we're resolving the revenge later as well, like
Yeah. So
Yeeted.
she's she's just gonna flee the scene before people have questions about the dying screams that they definitely heard.
So, the final scene, and Jess, you'll get to set it,
Sure.
involves the church and an involvement that Sir Triest had with the church and a member of House Eagle. So we can either take any NPC from House Eagle we've had, any knight who belongs to House Eagle, or create a new NPC, and you get to set the scene about
Okay.
your character now.
I think it would be worth it if Pro agrees. We could bring Sir Danielle into this,
Ooh, yeah.
establish some relations.
Yeah, in what fashion?
I don't know. I think if we are we going further back now, or are we advancing post
Your choice.
execution?
You can show up in the present now, and then we could do a scene
okay.
for Pro.
oh, is Caswin still alive?
I
In
guess.
present fiction.
Find out.
Seems
Oh,
that
we
way.
haven't-
Okay.
Whereabouts
Interesting.
They ghosted from the story for a few years. It's fine.
Just goes straight out of the fiction.
That's a hell of a
Someone so hard
success.
you literally ripped out of the plane they exist on.
It's like that mid-season flashback. You should care about this character. But what?
Yeah. That's when they hired a new actor in the TV series version and needed to explain television
Right, if I know
writing.
that, okay. You know what? This is actually funnier. So I like it. Okay.
Cool. All right.
That's when we'll show up when you least expect it later. I look forward
No one
to
ever
having player
expects
Ophelia.
Caswin to lie
Oh wow, I can work with this. Okay.
I love it.
Cool. All right, it's fine.
So what's our bond, good, bad, or whatever?
Well, if we're in the past, this would establish that Sir Daniel knew that House Phoenix existed.
God, that's interesting.
Do you want to roll with that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I think this is almost immediately post execution, after she strangled a man with her hair and then cut a couple more down and ran the heck away. I think she might have fled to wherever Sir Daniel was, if they were indeed still in the church at that time.
Yeah, definitely.
Possibly initially seeking refuge or even a direction to go. Like they had nobody to turn to. It was an act of desperation, seeking sanctuary, if you will.
Oh man, this plays into it. Okay, I know how to tie this great thing together. So, yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely at my garden, the secret garden that no one can get into ever.
The secret garden that no one can get into. Of course, that.
Hold while I start singing songs from Secret Garden.
Yeah, I think literally half the cast has been in this garden at some point or another.
Garden.
The not so secret garden.
Basically.
Cool.
And I think that Daniel is there, and I think their sister is there.
Okay.
Oh, Rose.
Didn't need sound for that. I saw those words clearly.
Just broke the internet.
All right, so Sir Danielle and their sister Rose are both there. Okay. I think they're in the garden. Is there a way in, or is it?
I think if you're coming, then you would know a way in. And feel free to kind of play that however you'd want. But it would get to the inner sanctum of the rose garden.
Okay. So yeah, I think probably somewhat startling, Sir Daniel may see a figure in a ragged cloak sort of emerge from about the bushes.
Yeah.
Sir Daniel.
Who's there? And I kind of step in front of Rose. Get behind me.
Rose recognizes the voice. Alexandra. Or Alexandra for Portuguese.
And the hood will come down, and though her hair has been shorn from the many, many feet that it was, and it's about here, the brilliant red is impossible to miss. They tried to have me executed. I didn't have anywhere else to go.
Wait, what? Slow down. Who? You? Are you all right?
Caswin betrayed me. Sent people to hunt me. I
Can't be true.
took care of them. I took care of them and fled, but they caught me and sent me to the block. Everyone is dead. The whole house is dead, Sir Daniel. I don't know what to do.
It's fine. It's fine. and they kind of look at Rose. He says, "Are you sure Caswin did this? I know him. He loved you truly."
Did he?
Rose is trying to like keep it quiet because she is currently seeing Caswin, and her eyes are kind of like shamefully darting down, and she just says, "I hear he has loved Minnie."
Well, that's what I get. No matter. I don't want to get you involved, but I need to flee somehow.
Oh, of course.
A little food, some supplies, something. Anything will help.
I can
take care of myself after that.
I can do more than that. You are my friend, Arizona. And like they'll kind of come over to you and kind of like seeing you distraught, kind of like give you a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I can speak to an old bishop that I know. They can help set you abound in the Westwood Abbey, and you can make your way from there.
Thank you, friend.
She can take my carriage.
Are you sure? I don't want anyone to think that you've helped me. I don't know who's responsible for this, but it seems a conspiracy amongst the houses. I don't know who to trust. I thought I could trust Caswin.
This is disconcerting. Are you saying that even Ego was involved?
Possibly.
True.
Maybe not everyone, but... And you could see that she looks quite afraid, even a little uncertain about trusting here. This was clearly a weighing the possibility of starving and just dying out in the wilderness against being betrayed again.
And
she opted to trust.
We see some quick flash montage of several other moments that have happened during the show. We know at one point Rose became a Raven Knight. We know that Rose died in a conflict that Sarah Danielle was fighting in. And I think this is the night that Rose abandons her house, abandons Caswin, and helps Trist escape Capital and lives on the road with the Ravens. Because we know Rose became a Raven. We didn't know why or how, but I think we answered that question.
I thought she was at the Abbey all this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we answered a question, so I think that's probably good to wrap on.
Definitely.
Yeah, intense. So now we know quite a bit about our sad bird. We've established a connection to Sarah Danielle. We established a connection to their dead sister. We now have a bitter lover wandering about someplace in the world, probably trying to trick someone else when the time comes.
If I may, I think Caswin might actually still be part of House Lion, just there.
100%.
And I also don't think they betrayed Alexandra willingly. I think they may have been threatened, or he may have been threatened.
Interesting.
He does have a baby sister who could be used as leverage, and it's not like people didn't know they were a thing.
100%.
Just because that's more fun for drama later, I think.
That
I
seems
like that.
fair.
We can also, like, if we wanted to put into the fiction, maybe that's why Beatrice was so insistent in training you.
Oh, yes. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Never
100%.
again.
So, who would like to set the next scene? It can either be Im or Jess.
What is going on with Sir Danielle right now? They're like trying to take over the crown, and Sir Donald's there, so I want to see some of that.
Yeah,
Right.
I have some questions as to why they opted for that now.
Oh, good point. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the last episode with the whole questioning of the houses and the council kind of fits into it anyway. Because there was an episode where Daniel wanted to destroy the houses, make a council instead of an overpowering throne voice.
100%. All right. So, what question would we like to answer about Sir Danielle and their character?
Is this in the current narrative or in the past?
Im gets to ask. I think we should go to the present now.
Okay. Yeah, if there was like a really big burning scene you wanted to play out, I think we can do that. Otherwise, in the present, I mean, that's really kind of gonna depend on what Sir Daniel's status is on this whole thing now with this new part of the fiction we've just established. I don't want to necessarily say what that is for you.
I think with this, I think Danielle still thinks the same, that it's not about who's born into the title, but whether who is there for the people and like the justice of it, and that there shouldn't just be one person on the throne who is all powerful, but there needs to be checks and balances, because there seems to be chaos whoever sits on it, and there's been several people so far.
It's been a very hot seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Clearly something about this system is broke.
I think that's
So,
what Daniel's
Let's
fighting
pick a
for.
location. Let's pick a location to set our scene, set some stakes, and then play to find out what happens. So, where does this take place? Where are we going to try to answer this question?
I mean, maybe this is the scene where Sir Danielle, like, do they pitch this idea, or do they have a trusted group of people that or connections that they have gathered during their time there as a steward? That like are they, I guess my question here is, are they trying to stage a straight up coup here and take over the government from the inside, or is this a longer game than that?
Well, it's not a coup right now. It's more of a reclaiming, as
Right.
Lorenz is kind of taking it. So I think with the Knights and the Eagle House, I think Danielle is getting not only the Knights, but because I think I established last time that the City Guard was also in conflict. So I think Danielle is getting people who are the same like-minded and getting that faction going within the city, kind of guerrilla tactics.
Okay, I was going to say,
building slowly a like support network.
Yes.
do we want to? Okay, so do you want to do the grassroots campaign, or do you want to assume that you've done that and this is the confrontation with Council Lorenz?
I have a lot of money.
Bribe them.
That's true.
There's also oh boy, yeah.
Could be a good time.
There's
for
also
a
a
reunion.
very powerful independent force in this city that never is going to get behind a house, but could certainly be leveraged for like different forms of government that are a little more based in politics. Although I do like the idea of reunion a lot better, so let's dig into that.
Yeah. I think I had the House of at least Eagle Knights already on my side established by the fiction, but I don't know about the other Knights.
You have lots of eagles and you have lots of lions that refer to themselves as the Thorn Lions.
And I think that this plays into the fiction. We don't need to play it out, but I think this is why Daniel took the title Holy Judge, because that was at the time where they were going through their own house and killing those who were part of the conspiracy.
All right.
Ah.
So let's describe this scene to us, where it's taking place and who is there. And we can all add to that scene. We're all allowed. But let's start to play it out. Which of the knights are with you, or your newfound allies?
I'd like to know this is the final push. Like, there's been many skirmishes across the capital.
Are we marching on the throne?
Yes.
Is this it?
I think this is it, yeah.
Break the gates.
Yeah, this is a full-on take it over, take it down. Yeah.
Donald's a Thorn Knight. That's awesome. I like the Ed's House Lion. He's like leader of the Thorn Guard.
Oh my god.
Oh my god!
Boy got an upgrade.
I swear to God, if Donald doesn't end up on that throne by the end of this game, I will be shocked.
I'm gonna kill him.
No, you're fucking not. Oh, he has plot armor. We've established this.
Lorenz and a group that we call they are essentially the we're going to call them the Talons of the Throne. They are an apostate group of Eagle Knights that are highly loyal to Council Lorenz, and they cannot be shaken. They will not kneel or bow to a group of lions that are marching on their gates, and they are well defended. They essentially have... they're preparing to unleash all the forces of hell from above on Laird Daniel and the Thorn Lion Guard. In what way, Sir Daniel, do you attempt to endure the onslaught?
I think, just like in every battle we've seen so far, Danielle does not believe in sending others into battle that they would not fight themselves. So Danielle is right in the thick of it, charging the gates with their people and on Glittermane.
Awesome. Donald's there with two giant hammers and just like bashing the gates. There is a group of Thorn Lions that essentially have a large set of doors that they're using as a massive shield to try to prevent the arrows that are raining down from above. From within the gates, spears are being jabbed through that attempt to pierce our side, and one is coming for Laird Daniel. This is going to be a difficulty of 9 to not be pierced. If you get jabbed, it's not going to kill you. You're just going to have to find another way in.
Let's see here. I'm going to expand Sovereign Will as I command all of the forces to kind of, don't yield, continue on. And I'm going to let's see here. I'm going to use 3 of my valor for this as well. So how much does Sovereign Will give me?
Sovereign Will add 3 to it, and then 3 points of valor gets you up to a 6. You'll need a 4 or higher.
Okay, here's Le Hopin. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Oh, okay, yep.
Here we go. Oh no.
Oh, I got a 2.
Oh no.
You're jabbing.
Might someone be able to step in
Can
and
use a
defend
crit.
him?
He can use his crit and roll again. That allows you to essentially roll 2 dice.
And let's roll that 2d20, 2d10.
Yeah, just roll a second d10.
Okay, so it's okay. My brain's mush right now.
There you go.
That's a number.
So it looked rough, and then Donald turns to you and says, "Show him what you got, my laird," and narrate how you break the front gates.
I think as the arrows are shooting over and the spears are flying, I think as Donald is there, I put my sword away, my rose sword, and I get one of Donald's hammers, kind of ride with glitter mane. It's like beautiful white, like a rainbow ribbon horse, and we just charge the gates, and in an almost impossible jump, jumps on a little thatched house, jumps over the gate, and then jumps into like a little barn house. And then I just like completely decimate the forces near the gate and just like slam them open with the hammer.
Yes, the talons of the throne are being repelled. They're fighting valiantly. If you take this hall, all that stands between you and reclaiming the throne is the throne room itself, and who knows what is on the other side.
Saying that, I think I take Donald and I tell Donald to use the secret door we once discussed last time and take some forces there.
Nods, waves, and the bravest of the Lion Guard. Among them is Caswin de Lion. March and take the secret entrance.
I have feelings.
This is fine.
God. This is fine.
Come, Caswin.
We've made a new son, and we are going to make him miserable.
This poor child.
I feel so sorry for this boy already.
I don't.
Great, I love it.
It's fine.
All right.
It's fine. For the character development.
So you're going to have to take the remainder of the Lion Guard and overcome essentially the most valiant of the Talons of the Throne. There is one who has declared themselves champion, and they stand between Laird Daniel and the rest. And this individual's name is Helm. They stand a striking 6'5". They have a large shield. It's a tall shield, not common for a knight to carry. And they have a long pole arm. And they explain that they are the doorman to the throne, and none get through.
Is this an eagle?
Yes.
So I think Sir Daniel gets off glitter mane and unsheathes the rose sword. Has the heart crown on, the kind of red rose kind of cloak billowing back, and they're going to duel this person, and they're just going to say, "You know me by many names. I go and I've had many titles. But the one you will fear today was the one was given to me by fear. I am the Holy Judge. And the house is in my purview." And they're going to just run forward.
All right. What they're going to attempt to do as you run forward is upward slice you and pike you with their pole arm. It is a 9 to avoid a near fatal blow.
Okay, I'm going to expand Holy Judge on this, so I'll have that.
All right. Holy Judge will add 3 to your attempt.
Okay, and I'm going to add 3 of my dashing, because I'm quicken. Look at my feet. So that's 6.
You'll need a 3 or higher.
Hit. Didn't roll. Hit.
Woo!
Oh.
All right. Describe how you defeat Helm the Even Taller.
Even taller. I was gonna get.
We had Vitor the Tool and Helm the Even Taller.
Really? All right. So at some point we're gonna hit the toll list, and I think that's the end of the show.
We must defeat the tallest of them all.
We've lost our fan base. I think what happens is so Danielle just runs forward almost like recklessly, and as the pike kind of comes out, as the shield kind of moves, I think Danielle jumps onto the shield. It's quite large, and kind of like kicks around it, and as they kick around it and kind of jump over them, I think they just throw the sword down, right, like down from the neck, like into the torso, and just kind of land behind him as he just falls forward.
They have just been wholly judged, and the judgment was true. Helm is no more, and the doors are open to the court. Council Lorenz is there. Council Lorenz is surrounded by a group of thorn lions and stands, arms by their side, shoulders back, tall as they can. They are nowhere near as tall as Helm. Council Lorenz is a good 5'4". They are small.
Oh no.
And
Lorenz the Small.
and Lorenz is looking up.
Medium smallish.
Yes. The average height.
Lorenz, but,
Lorenz is looking up at Ser Daniel and cries out, "This illegal, treasonous, despicable."
I trusted you. You're my counsel and my consort. You betrayed everything for power.
I did what I had to for my country.
By making it worse.
He turns and his eyes meet several of the Thorn Knights and turns and meets you. You notice he kind of is looking at you as if he has a secret. There's no smile on his face, but his eyes betray him, or their eyes betray them.
I kind of walk over and kind of like hurl them up. And I just kind of say, like, kind of like just to them, like my eyes kind of burning, speak.
There are many vipers to be found here in capital. And among them are some of your most trusted. And they hiss, and Caswin and half the Thorn Knights turn on Donald. And there were traitors among them. And there are some that turn on you. And you're going to have to make and succeed a check of 12 to prevent Lorenz and these Thorn Knights from overcoming your group. You essentially are all that stands between the throne and Lorenz's ambition.
Well, I think this is the time to use the tag Ancient Crown.
Ooh. Yes, the Ancient Crown.
Yeah, so I have that. And then, how much does that give me?
The Ancient Crown will give you +3, but also it is at that moment that through the other side, not the side Donald took, Sir Triest and Ravens come and arrive.
Yeah.
Triest, I'm going to say, burned a healthy chunk of that money to buy the service of as many ravens as she could find. And
Nice.
has been assisting in the background with this storming of the castle and is here. And there are
Smart.
bows drawn. There are bows drawn on these traitorous knights. So I think we have kind of a like a Mexican standoff situation happening right now.
Yeah, a little bit.
Shoot her!
And Triest is going to run over and straight up go for Lorenz to get a dagger at their throat.
All right, so I'm going to need you to make. Here's how we're going to play this. So you need to exhaust the tag Filthy Rich.
Okay.
And Filthy Rich, it will be gone now. That's going to cut the difficulty in half, so it'll be task difficulty of 6.
Okay.
And if we like, Sir Triest can make the check to determine the final outcome of this battle. Since Sir Danielle's pretty much tapped on resources, they still have more, but
Can I help with that with the ancient crown? Like, is this like
yes.
a
The Ancient Crown will add 3 as well. So you'll need 3 or higher.
3 or higher.
Yes. You can also, if you have any attractive qualities that add, I know yours aren't necessarily combat-based, but you might also have some pools that you spend from, up to 3 points.
Okay. I think I would like to say that loyal applies in this case, since I am coming to Sir Daniel's defense.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So the pools, the Valor, Dashing, and Cerebration is what I can use, right?
Yep. You can use 1
Alright.
pool up to 3 points. You need 2 more
Alright.
points to avoid rolling.
All right. I'll go ahead and take 2 points out of Valor, I think. If that seems applicable.
All right. Describe how the Ravens and the Thorn Guard dispatch Lorenz and the motley crew, and also I don't think Caswin's overtaken. I think they may have seen an appearance and fled.
I just recognize.
I don't
Sandra,
think-
though, 'cause I
Caswin
knew her
won't
as-
recognize.
Oh,
Caswin
okay,
doesn't
you're
recognize.
Caswin.
Caswin might flee. Yeah.
Caswin's like, this fight's too much for me. Peace, y'all. I'm leaving the fiction again. Bye.
He doesn't.
No one knows which side I was on. And Caswin knows if Caswin lives, there's a good chance everyone will just be like, yeah, Caswin was one of us. It's established which side
Oh
Caswin
my
was on.
god. I'm not sure which I like. Oh god, no. Okay, that'll be really fun to play with later. So absolutely, I
Yeah.
think we have
So
like, a shot
Caswin-
of, like, so Donald and Caswin are like doing like a 1v1 thing for a brief spat of this, and I think Donald handily is winning, and Caswin just nopes on out.
He's just like,
Donald,
look over there. Bye.
Donald with the 2 large sword is just like, all right, Caswin. Punts him. Cricket just. Cricket
He
paddles
just gets
him.
up and runs instead of coming back to the fight.
God, this guy.
We have like a
Six
really
fingered
badass
man.
shot of like. Yeah, well, I think like what happens is like it's actually like a really badass move. Like he meets the hammer strike like with his shield, and then is still driven back, but it looks like he has that very like anime glint in his eye of the, and then drops
runs.
the shield and just fucking fucks it.
Caswin, why are you the worst, though?
Guess what? Where are you like this? And why do I love you so?
Yeah. So I think while that's happening, Triest comes and seizes Lorenz by the hair and just puts a dagger right to their throat while the other ravens start unloading their arrows on the Thorn Knights that have been established as traitors. And also, once they've loosed enough of them, they kind of let the Thorn Knights that are with Sir Daniel go ahead and start to take down their fellow comrades, and then they jump in and join the fray in melee to help them take them down. And Sir Triest has Lorenz pretty much at her mercy.
Yeah, Daniel's going to say, don't kill him.
Why should I not? He's about ready to kill you.
Yes, but there's been enough death in secret rooms, in halls of power. And if he has to die, we should allow the people to choose it. But he has hurt them the most.
There's a long pause, and for a moment it almost seems like the Raven will not permit and might actually drive the dagger in a little further. There's even a little bit of blood that starts to form. She turns the dagger away and but keeps a good solid grip on Lorenz. He's not going anywhere. As you wish. Justice will be done.
Cowards.
She punches him.
I was about to do the same.
Shut up!
Single punch and like eyes swollen shut, tooth is crooked, bleeding.
Where shall we put him?
In shackles and in prison.
Donald has like an oversized bird cage that just happens to be there, and it's like,
All right. Shoves him in and locks it.
well, all right. And then he just kind of like straps it, and he's gonna like track it.
Fucking Donald.
And I think, well, Donald has the prisoner under handled. Triest will pull the mask down, and Sir Daniel, you see the face of your friend, Alexandra. It's good to see you again.
How?
A lot of money from the crown, apparently. About them.
And you see a grim look as they look over the ravens. You're with
The rate. Good day. Diggory, Massenjoy, Uther, Sinan, and Kenwin.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
I brought friends. Well, they're friends as long as I've got funds.
Yes, I think I've known the sort. Wait, have you been with the ravens this whole time?
No, I've been a raven. Not part of the flock, if you would.
She goes about with a little lion. Scampy little thing.
Did you... Rose?
What about Rose? Was
Did
she
you
not
cross
back here with you?
paths? No. She's dead.
What? When? How?
A few years ago now. She was with the ravens.
I lost track of her some time ago. Well before that.
Ophelia.
Ophelia?
She did
What's
not know.
happened to her?
She did it.
I
She
see.
wore a mask. At least now I know why.
Danielle, I'm so sorry. If I'd known, I would have come to her side.
They'll kind of like shift to the side and kind of breathe deep, and they look completely different from when you last saw them. They used to have like long kind of pink hair, like curly, kind of going down. Now it's just like shaved at the side and like a foxhawk, and you see this like just hard like look on their face, like they've endured a lot. It's fine. At least I know now. He was good after all.
Not all of us are. I think you know that, based on all I've heard.
Indeed. The battle is won, but there was a war being waged.
I've noticed. Been fighting in pieces of it myself. Here and there. Well, Sir Trist has.
Yes. Interesting moniker, by the way.
I never was good with names, you know that.
Yes, I remember old Latrice back in my clergy house. Frightful woman, strong. Reminds me of you.
I'm frightful, am I? Well, it's good to see you too.
You should have seen how you came in here. All power and feathers.
Well, different sort of feathers anyway. Shall we see about cleaning this up and dealing with him?
Don't mind us, we've got it. And the ravens are like taking down the trees and pocketing candelabras.
I did not say you could take whatever you found. Mind yourselves, you cheeky birds.
Start putting everything back. Yes.
There was much.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's just bits and bobs. There was much to do. I would ask. I am the Lord. I would ask that you join the council. You have more right than anyone else. I want to do away with the houses and their corruption, secrets, backdealings.
I confess I'm glad to hear that. As for whether or not I join, she puts the mask back up. We shall see. Perhaps with enough time. But I will help you. You have my sword, and theirs as long as I can continue to afford them.
Well, now that I know, I could always put away a few coin.
I'm just going to spare some to shove down the throats of all the rest who betrayed me.
Well, I've been doing the same. Should we pick up the
Good to
pieces?
see your face again. I think we should. And she'll put her hand out to Sir Daniel.
They'll kind of like look at you and kind of smile and grab it and then kind of bring you in for a hug.
And she'll respond in kind and give a pretty fierce, tight, like really, really tight hug. I missed you. Sorry.
Getting old.
Oh, you know.
Well,
Donald's on the way back and is like, "We hugging now?" And just kind of like scoops you both up.
Apparently we are. Where'd you find this one? He's huge.
oh well, Donald is a.
I'm corn fed.
I can
That
tell.
means they feed me corn.
That they do. That they do. That they do.
We're never telling him.
Oh no.
Just then an arrow comes in.
God.
And yeah, I think the scene is Donald, Danielle, and Trist kind of walking through the grand doors with this prisoner, and I don't think we see it, but like kind of making a speech, kind of like the people, I guess, and choosing his fate in like a court, maybe for the first time with royally decreed.
So make a final check. It's going to be a check of 9. And Danielle will have to make the check. If you do less than 9, Lorenz is going to be imprisoned locally. If you roll less than 5, they are going to send Lorenz off to be imprisoned far away. There's a chance Lorenz escapes. If you roll higher than a 9, they want Sir Therese to publicly execute him now. Or them now.
Cool. And I think I'm going to use my attractive qualities, beautiful and graceful, as I'm speaking and addressing the crowd, and how this should be a new way for the people's choice.
Sure, that gives you 2. You are also allowed to spend up to 3 points of celebration.
Yeah, I was gonna spend that celebration and use that. So that gives me 5. So I was must get the 5 one. So okay, well, 7.
What's the final total?
7.
Okay. Lorenz is going to be kept in a tower. And
Yay!
that is all that becomes of that. We don't know what friends they have in town. But they're sentenced there for life. And they shall be there until a sovereign pardons them or they die.
Just saying, they might get sick.
Depends on who's in charge of guarding that tower.
Oh, there's guards.
Oh, I know. But one particular one might assist Lorenz potentially in the future. We shall see.
No,
You mean worst boy?
Yeah, I mean,
Caswin.
if there's another way to make him just the fucking worst, I'll obviously take it.
Bishop Ambrose goes, there's one knight who's incorruptible. Caswin de Lion. Caswin, you take...
Sir Caswin the Incorruptible.
By royal decree.
Caswin the Incorruptible by whose fucking standards, though?
That's my favorite thing.
He's always loyal.
To himself.
Just the
What have we done this day?
I have a certain amount of narrative points I'm allowed to spend. Currently, I believe Caswin has more passion points put into them than anything else by like double. So currently,
is that self-preservation?
that's knights being drawn and gravitated to the idea of this bitter ex-lover.
Oh my god.
Catherine has 5, right?
Yeah.
Passion points? I have 8.
Well, you do, but you are not a thing in the fiction. You are a knight. It's just there's the ideas there. Like there's a chance there Danielle and Caswin romance now, right? Or duel to the death, one way or the other. Whatever the encounter is, it will always. So with that, we have time for one more brief scene that Jess gets to set about anything in the world. Can either be a montage scene or it can be an individual personal scene between two characters. Is it going to be you and Caswin? Caswin in prison? Or
he's not in prison
Lorenz,
yet.
Well, Caswin, nope.
Caswin at the guard.
Caswin noped the fuck out, so I guess. Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's do that. Let's carry on. I think probably establishing, if I may, that from this point on, Sir Therese is kind of going to stick close to Sir Daniel and sort of act as like a bodyguard. most of the time.
Donald's like, I thought I was the bodyguard. It's okay though. You're better than me.
Donald's
I mean,
the big
or they could
bodyguard. Triest is the guardian from the shadows.
Exactly.
You're the eyes, I'm the hammer.
Yep. Yeah, but I think Triest is going to pay a visit to the prisoner and, bring food and drink.
If it's
Are we doing this now? Okay.
Fucking yeah.
scene. So there's a tall, winding tower. I'm going to advance after that scene the Inquisition clock. The church, there's some tension there with so many eagles that turn traitor, with Lorenz being a loud mouthpiece of the church. There's even more religious tension that's rising, and they're beginning to question various church leaders. And some have even said that Laird Daniel, they who wear the crown, doesn't have the cleanest background. However, those voices are suddenly silenced, and we don't know why. So there is a tower. The tower is in the West Abbey, where you went to hide before, though you never arrived. It's tall. Mm-hmm. It is the tallest structure in capital, taller than the castle. And there is a single locked gate that only 2 people have the key to. The guard and someone who could have afforded to get the sole master key in the kingdom, Sir Triest. So you have free access.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just put into this that, like, because it's some time later, you spent enough time with Daniel that doing this might break some kind of trust.
Okay.
It's worth it.
Listen, it's out of loyalty. Doing what's best for him. For them, even if they don't think so.
Oh no, what have we created?
It's fine.
So is your
Someone got
intention,
to
let's make
maybe.
sure. Here's the stakes.
Okay.
So we got to set some stakes. So
Yes.
I'm going to put the fate of Caswin, Lorenz, and the trust. Actually, that's the stakes. The trust of Sir Danielle and the people. Those are the stakes. I like that. But the question that we ask is, what occurs between... is this more a scene of you and Caswin, or more a scene of you and Lorenz? Because Caswin is the sole guard.
I think probably more Caswin, because while Triest is going up there with the intention to absolutely poison Lorenz, I don't know that the trust would necessarily be broken even if she succeeded, because that would require people knowing that it wasn't just he got sick.
And then my question for you. Go ahead.
I think the stakes in the center of the scene is more reuniting with Caswin and dealing with it.
Okay. So if you were to weight this scene towards one of the 3 narrative qualities, is this more a scene, a quest, a mission you are undergoing for the sake of the crown, the political structure of the crown, the passion that you feel towards another individual, for better or for worse, or for the glory of it to be the subject of discussion?
I think, given both the setting of the scene and what is liable to happen, we should lean towards passion, simply because she's not acting necessarily fully out of the crown. She's trusting in Danielle's plan. She is acting out of loyalty and repayment toward Danielle, and kind of doing what she thinks they are not willing to do, but that really should be done. avoiding risks, because it's funny when you slate someone to just be imprisoned or die, they have a way of escaping. For some reason, she knows that. And then, of course, the passion because, we're about to meet Caswin, who ghosted so hard he was gone from the fiction for a few years.
Of course.
After betraying her.
Lay low.
Yeah.
Wait patiently. So you've come to the steps. Narrate how you access the tower. There's about 1,000 steps going up. It's currently unguarded down below because no one has the key, right? Except for a single guard. Except you have a key as well.
I think we sort of come in and we see the gloved hands of a raven unlocking the door with a key. And we just sort of track up the tower as we hear steps. And a light on Caswin, who is standing guard, as he sees a figure coming up, cresting the top of the stairs. And it's
as he sees this.
so triste. Is still masked and cloaked and such.
Mm-hmm. As he sees this figure, Caswin, who is definitely totally not like half asleep here, kind of starts and just in a total like rush, like kind of fumbling, pulls his sword from the sheath and halt! State your business. No one's supposed to be in here. And who are you?
I've got a key. She holds up the key. I think this says I can be in here.
I'm under strict orders, and I always follow my orders. I'm not supposed to let anyone in.
Do you?
Especially not people who won't show me their face. What's your name, stranger?
I know that voice, says a weak voice from behind the door, but then it goes quiet, sort of the aside.
So you're loyal to Laird Daniel now? Or is this just a job to you?
I've always been loyal to Laird Daniel. What are you talking about? Who are you? Who let you in here?
I let myself in. Pretty good at that. And there's something in the eyes that's familiar, but I'm thinking maybe Caswin doesn't... It's not fully registering. It's just a little eerie, these golden eyes that are sort of piercing.
Look, I'm under strict orders from the Laird themselves.
And the mask
I
comes down.
suggest you either bring them... okay, at that, Caswin cuts off halfway
Caswin.
through his statement and drops his sword and just kind of clatters. Alex? But you're alive!
Don't you dare call
How are
me
you
by that
alive?
name.
He's started to take a couple steps toward you. And you can actually see in his face, he doesn't look scared, and he looks shocked, but it's the shock of relief. It's not the shock of, oh no, someone's coming back to kill me because I screwed them over real bad.
As he approaches, I think he gets pretty close in range before a dagger point is in the way, halting the rest of his progression. Don't touch me.
Alex, listen, you don't understand.
What don't I understand? You betrayed me.
I had to. It was you or her. They threatened
Me or
me.
who?
Alex,
She sort of pushes forward with the dagger a little more, trying to drive him back.
Okay, he stumbles back and it was a little orph. I'm sorry. It was you or her. I didn't want to choose. I couldn't think of a way out. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And he tries to go in for a hug again.
I don't feel
She's
safe
got the
anymore.
dagger. She's got the dagger basically like
I know, he's
trying
doing
to
like
block
because he
him.
does like an awkward like like okay.
Oh, no hugs? All right, cool.
No hugs. Okay, understood. Like this is not playing out how I thought it was going to.
Yeah, she kind of steps back and like looks less angry and much more hurt. She seems to be grappling a little bit with how to really react with this information. How is Ophelia?
She's well, she's a knight now. And when Certrice or Alexandra knew Ophelia was never actually supposed to be a knight. That was not a thing she was going to be raised to do. That is the thing she decided or was chosen for after. So this is not only news, but shocking news. A lot's happened since you've been gone.
A knight? Why?
Well, you'd have to ask her. She really looked up to you, you know. She was devastated when you were gone. I couldn't look her in the eye for months.
Months.
But you're back. Yeah, definitely months.
She's like, oh, just months. Cool.
Just months.
Dick.
Did I say months? I meant years. Years. Never once. It was definitely probably like maybe a day.
He's cool. It's fine. He's the worst. She lowers the dagger, but kind of keeps it in hand. Are you really loyal?
Of course.
Are you going to turn?
Never on you. Never again. I promise. And he goes in for a hug again.
She kind of pushes him away this time. Don't touch me. You hug me again, I'll stab you.
At that, he does kind of actually fully deflate, realizing that no, this is not going to be a pleasant romantic reunion.
The shipping crew in the background here.
I mean, I was going for it. Or he was going for it.
Got her in the
Just not
douches.
particularly tactfully. But yeah, no, he's now shoulders slumped, and kind of he looks to you.
Didn't take you long to seek Rose out afterwards, did it?
Oh, Rose. That was a canon pause. He had to like actually like go through his
Think about it.
No, it was.
Wow. He's like, wait, which
Lorenzo's-
is 20?
Lorenzo's face is at the little. Lorenzo's face is at like the little bars now. He's like, Rose, Rose to Eagle.
He like jams his elbow into the window behind him.
Lorenzo didn't expect he was going to get like a soap opera here in prison.
I loved her, but I never touched her. Kill him. Sorry.
Took you time to remember that, I see. I'll be watching you.
Because she meant nothing to me. Nothing, I promise.
At that point, I think Trace lunges forward and just sort of like rams her forearm against his neck to push him into the door. She meant nothing to you, did she? It's thanks to her and her brother that I am still alive.
Did I say nothing? I meant
I will be
everything,
watching
but not as much
you.
as you.
I have a
I will be
question
watching
for
every
Caswin in
step.
this. Is Caswin allowing himself to be overpowered in this situation, or does he turn the tables on the Raven?
I think as he's kind of bluffing desperately and failing miserably, okay, actually there's an idea.
Why is he the worst,
You're
and are
okay.
we making him
You're
worse?
If you are okay with this, Jess, I think, as he says, but not as much as you, if you've got your arm up against his neck and you're straight up in his face, I think he does with one hand put his hand on the back of your head and does try to kiss her, and in the other hand pulls a dagger from his belt and places it at the base of her back.
Oh, geez.
Dagger smooching. Okay, so to avoid the smooch, it's a difficulty 10. So you're gonna have to make a check.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
I like that you specified the smooch, not the dagger.
I don't know if I have. I'm not going to use anything against that. Although, I guess, could I spend my menacing presence at this point, since I'm like
100%. That'll
hella intimidating him?
So yeah, because there's a good chance Caswin gets run through if he makes a sudden move. So that'll make it a 5. So you'll need a 5 or higher on the die roll.
Okay. That's a 5.
All right. Narrate how this goes down. So Triest as Caswin clumsily rolls in.
I think she will let him get his kiss, but when she feels the dagger at her back, she uses her free hand to grab his wrist and twist it as hard as possible until he drops the dagger.
I think she breaks
And then-
his wrist.
Yep.
And then she kind of just shoves him into the door as roughly as possible and steps back.
Lorenz is like, do something. You're supposed to protect me. Sorry. I'm crying.
I'll be watching you. Poor Lorenz.
I'm reporting you to Sir Danielle. I'm going to draft a letter.
You're not going to do anything in there.
Watch me. I have rights.
And I have poison. I could silence your rights in a second.
You had poison, Lorenz says with a little menacing laugh.
And she kind of watches Caswin for a long moment.
Caswin is cradling his wrist and trying really hard not to man cry.
She'll pick up the dagger that he had and give it a look over. Is it a nice dagger?
Very nice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Family heirloom.
She'll pocket it.
Oh, yes.
A gift from
Family
the
heirloom.
Andlier.
He would not have normally. Also, ow.
I'll be watching you. You bear that in mind. And she'll turn and go back down the stairs.
I did love you. Truly. And that's. And then it kind of devolves into sobbing.
Lorenz pushes a little cup through. It's like, fill this for me, please. It's 1,000 steps.
God.
Wow, they're just the worst.
Can we just
So-
put them in the room together forever?
Yeah,
Maybe
or we can just lock them up and never deal with those two ever again.
Oh my goodness! All right, let's go into sort of our character summaries for the time being. So we have gone. There's still 2 more scenes that need to play out before we end the season of Daggers. Those scenes will be played out between Sir Cataline and Chev and Timony. But let's start to go through the character summary and kind of do some vignettes of each character. I think we'll start with Sir Treese during the long walk down the stairs, and then sort of a montage of the next week. They're going about. Then we'll do Chev Orphelia and Chev Beatriz and Alicinda. And then we'll do Sir Danielle.
Okay. I think we will kind of see as, in particular, as Sir Trist is going down the stairs, we do see tears streaming down her face, though the expression is one that is cold and hard and does not match the tears. And over the weeks, we see kind of in montage form, she has brought the dagger to Sir Danielle and or Laird Danielle, and is explaining, keep an eye on Caswin. Do not trust him. And there's definitely no mention of poison that might have been a plan or nothing like that. Nope, never happened. She was just going in there to check on the prisoner, make sure he's still there, make sure the security was good. That's the excuse. And I think whatever remains of the funds are being used to ensure the loyalty of those ravens that she has bought. And she generally remains still in the guise of Trist, except in the presence of Laird Danielle. When they are alone, she will doff the mask and let them see her face.
All right. And let's get a montage of what's going on with Chev Orphelia, Chev Beatriz, and Alicinda.
So Chev Orphelia and Chev Beatriz have been escorting Alicinda as best they can. I believe. Actually, I kind of want to open this up to the group at large, or at least people who know Alicinda better than I do. So with Alicinda and Beatriz's relationship, is this the sort of thing where they would be talking the entire way back and reconciling, or is this not a thing that would be
Potential
happening at all?
It's going to be a lot of difficult conversations. There is a bond between them, though. The closest thing I could describe it out of another media would be the Harpy and the Last Unicorn, right? The Lady Amalthea and the Harpy. They know each other. They're sisters, but they're on opposite sides.
Okay, then I think Orphelia is actually, if she gets a sense of that, I think of the montage is actually of what starts out as a very, very hostile captive relationship over the course of this turns into a series of conversations as Orphelia, who has a very strong sense of loyalty and family, tries to see if she can help mend this relationship, even though if she cannot forgive Alicinda for the wrongs she's done.
The interesting to note in that narration, I was going to say, I apologize for interrupting. If you hadn't bested both Alicinda and Beatriz, they might not listen to you. But because you've bested both of them, they both look to Ophelia with a certain respect that they did not have 10 episodes ago. And they're giving her a listening ear.
Yeah, but I think nothing of note necessarily happens on the journey back. I think we end as they are walking up the steps to the palace and seeing whatever the heck just went on there while they were gone. Yeah, so we end on a shot that is essentially the high fantasy equivalent of the pizza gif entering the room.
That's
Meanwhile,
great.
there's lots of Viva la Revolution going on.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
I love it. It's great.
And also, let's go to Laird Danielle.
I think Lord Danielle, they're making preparations. I think the first preparation that they've taken is that they've gathered some of the funds and they've started with some of the Masonry Guild, and they're dismantling and repurposing the Eagle House.
Ooh.
To make it a public a public prayer and a kind of church, as well as the garden is now public access as well. And I think that like it's just coming forward as like the the plans are being written up for like each house to kind of either be dismantled or be more public affirming. And then the last scene before Ophelia kind of comes in is just Danielle around a big round table, like gathering like where what they want is like the council of hearts, because they have the crown of hearts, and on the center of this big round table is just a rose for their sister.
Aww. And before the sun sets on the city of Capital in the Land Royal, there is a flash of silver on the horizon, as if the sea itself was washing ashore from the north, though the denizens of Capital know there is no sea to the north. Capital is completely landlocked. It is a legion of knights that is fleeing in full retreat. The Lunar Republic is coming. They have defeated the Knights of the Land Royal and the lands to the north, and Capital itself will be under full siege at the start of the next session. And we'll leave it there as far as the game for the session. Let's go around, cast and crew, how we enjoyed ourselves today and what we thought of today's session. So let's go start with Pro. How's it go, Pro? How was the session for you?
Yeah, today's session was good, full of drama, full of funny moments, and just full of lore, which was, super, super good. Yeah, I was glad to be back in Daniel's boots, and all that good jam. I'm happy we get to play with Jess, so finally. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, I've enjoyed today. I am Pro Starter. You can catch me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, all under the same name. I do a slew of stuff. Check my pinned tweet on my Twitter. Thank you for having me, as always. Love today.
It was great playing with you. And M.
So that was a lot, but that was a super fun session. We covered a lot of material, and all of it was pretty much gold. I love my new garbage son with all of my heart, and I'm so glad you didn't kill him. I really thought you were going to. But yeah, no, that was really great. And yes, my name's M, Addie Treffery on Twitter, Treffery most other places. I am around. I do art and yelling about RPGs on Twitter, and am occasionally on various streams across the internet. But yeah, that's me.
And Little Cup of Joe.
Hey, I finally got to be in a session and do things. Oh my god. There was a hell of a lot of drama tonight. That was beautiful. This was very fun. Yeah, I am Little Cup of Joe, basically everywhere on the internet, but most especially on Twitch and Twitter. Where on Twitch I play some video games. I also run several TTRPGs, many of which M is a cast member of. And tomorrow at noon Pacific, you can actually watch me running my ongoing Ryutama campaign, which she is indeed a cast member of. It's JRPG inspired. It's pretty cute, and they're going to be roaming the desert, so it's totally going to be fun.
And definitely check it out. It is phenomenal. Check out all the shows on all these wonderful personalities' channels, as well as when they guest on others, such as Encounter Roleplay, WebDM, and what have you. As for me, my name is Grant Ellis. I'm an independent content creator for tabletop role-playing games. I have 6 different books being published this year through 3 different publishers. One I can actually name, 2C Gaming. In the next couple of weeks, you should be able to pick up the TPK Bestiary and the TPK Handbook Volume 2. I will be at PAX Unplugged as a special guest on 2 different panels, one on historical and visual transgender narratives in tabletop role-playing game, and the second on, it's called Playing in Your Lane, how to represent identities that are not your own in tabletop role-playing. I was an invited guest on both, based on my background and experience in RPGs. The trans narrative panel, I will be the moderator. I will be an invited guest on the second. Definitely want to make sure that we continue to give good plugs to all of our sponsors out there. Assuming that I have my sponsor sheet up. Foiled again. But definitely check out, I have a tweet that I can, or a chat command that will reveal them all to you. Definitely check out Wayland Games for your miniatures, Fantasy Grounds, which is our virtual tabletop of choice, and make sure that you check out Tabletop Loot for all of your dice needs. Thank you all very much for tuning in tonight. Really appreciated all the bits, as well as the donations for those tarot cards, so we could add some fiction to Certrice du Raven, or shall we say, Alexandra de Phoenix. And definitely stay tuned, because our friend Baganova is going to be on with some Barroom in just a few moments. Goodbye.